Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Couple emails here from the Equitable Bank inbox. First, we have a certified sicko.
Oh, okay.
TL3.
Hi, TL3.
So, he apparently has a spreadsheet of all of the teams in college baseball who either have or have not released their schedules yet.
College baseball?
College baseball. You've got this email, right? It came to your inbox. You probably deleted it immediately because you're.
I keep it tight.
Yeah, clearly. You just saw this and you were like, I don't need this.
I saw it and I didn't see it said baseball.
College baseball is less than 3 weeks away, and according to TL3, there is 3 teams in college baseball who have yet to release their schedules. So get on it, Oakland, Murray State, and Florida A&M. Otherwise, we are all set for college baseball.
Who wouldn't know their schedule at this point?
Well, it's a great question. I'm more wondering who keeps track of these things. And apparently that's TL3. I can't believe it. That's our I can't believe it of the day. Brought to you.
Good segment.
Good segment. Yeah, we gotta. Our bar's getting full here.
We're getting full.
We gotta clean her out.
Yeah.
Do some reorganization. We got a lot of grunts on here.
Mm-hmm. Don't need those.
Sorry, let me get rid of that. Yeah, we got a lot of those. We've only got one game left to grunt, Josh. And I don't know what kind of grunt it's going to get from you.
I don't have to get in the lab and make one.
Is it just is it just going to be one like Well, just stay tuned. Next Thursday we'll find out. A long lead up to that grunt. Elsewhere from the Equitable Bank inbox from Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Why is everyone okay with hitters yelling and flexing and the dugout yelling back at the hitter when they hit a double? But if you celebrate a home run, then the opposing team gets all offended. This one truly confuses me. Everyone has the celebration when they get to second base now.
Yeah.
And they're doing hip gyrations and they're flinging their hands and fingers and arms around everywhere.
Yeah.
They're doing TikTok dances, things like that. They're yelling back to the dugout. And everyone's just okay with that.
That's a good point.
Chris is wondering what the difference is between that and when you hit a home run. Maybe it's because when you hit a home run and you show up the pitcher like the ball is still in the air, at least when you get to second, the play is like over, you know?
Might be onto something.
Maybe. I
don't know.
Maybe. It's confusing. People get offended at different things. I can't, I don't know. I don't know why. All I know is if I'm a pitcher and a guy gets to second base and he starts doing a TikTok dance, I am going to be pretty mad. But I'll mostly be mad at myself for giving up a double to the guy who does a TikTok dance when he gets to second base.
That's what this boils down to, right?
Yeah, I'm mostly mad at me.
Yeah.
And you take your frustration out in different areas. All right, so here we are, Josh. Let's talk about our sweet, sweet, sweet baby boy, Josh Allen. With his long locks of hair. Are you a lover of Josh Allen as much as I am a lover of Josh Allen?
Now, complicated relationship, because coming out of college, I was like, why is everyone enamored with this guy?
Yeah, I thought he was a bust too.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to be a bust too.
He went to Wyoming and didn't win anything there.
He's clearly not.
Correct.
Clearly not.
Now I have reached a point where I am rooting for this human being because he is
now
climbing an uphill battle, right?
This is why this topic comes up, because I've seen a lot of over the last 48 hours, people talking about Josh Allen as if he has done something wrong, right? Mm-hmm. He can't get over this hump, so he must be the problem. The Bills choked. He choked. Did what happened in that game? Was that the Bills choking? Was that Josh Allen choking? Now, there has been a lot of discourse about the fourth down play and the ball that he threw to Dalton Kincaid and who he should have thrown it to. The dots, you know, if I'm Josh Allen, I simply throw it to the open guy.
Right. Have you tried that? It is not enough to be the reason your team doesn't lose. You are the core. I know it's confusing. You have to be the quarterback who ensures your team wins.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be the reason your team wins, not the reason they don't lose.
And that is definitely the case with Josh Allen, because he is now in this position where they have to take it from Patrick Mahomes. They're clearly not going to give it to you.
That game would have been a rout by Kansas City if Josh Allen was not the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. That game was teetering multiple times on blowout, and Josh Allen was like, I'm gonna do some hero ball right now.
So yeah, and that's the other thing. And we can even boil it down to that play. Let's say that pass gets caught by Dalton Kincaid.
The fourth down?
Yes.
Okay.
The one that Dalton Kincaid should have caught.
Yes.
And they go down, and no, there's still some work to do, but right, they go, let's say they go down and score and win. But the hard part, they've converted the fourth down. That is all of a sudden one of the most clutch playoff plays of all time. Dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs and, taking them out of this stretch. And now we're asking all these questions about the Chiefs, and this is Josh Allen week. Instead, the conversation surrounding Josh Allen is now a little bit different. I wouldn't say that it's anything Josh Allen didn't do in that moment in time that led that pass to not be completed. In fact, I think he did a lot to complete the pass.
They would have been in Kansas City territory with 2 minutes to go, down 3.
So at least we're talking about overtime, but we know how overtimes work for Josh Allen against the Kansas City Chiefs. Not too good.
Not great.
And more so, while he is 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs, it's not like he's playing badly. In fact, he's playing incredibly. In those 4 games, all losses, he's thrown 9 touchdowns and 1 interception. He is averaging 260 yards passing per game. In the 2021 AFC title game, he had 88 yards rushing. In the 2022 divisional round game, he had 75 yards rushing. In the 2023 AFC divisional round game, he had 72 yards rushing. And the other night, he had 39 yards rushing. He is not playing poorly. He is playing incredibly well. And to think he would have the most incredible playoff, one of the most incredible playoff plays of all time if Dalton Kincaid had just caught the damn ball. I mean, it's nuts to think about.
Somebody lined up Allen's stats and Mahomes' stats in their 4 playoff games against each other, and they're pretty much identical.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the case that Josh Allen has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in these games, but he's on the losing side every time. Dan Orlovsky had this stat yesterday.
Hi, Dan.
In playoff history, the teams that score 3 or more touchdowns in a turnover-free game are 140-19 ever in playoff history. All right. Get those numbers through your head. 140-19.
Okay.
Josh Allen is the only quarterback out of the 19 losses to have more than one of those 19 losses. He's the only quarterback on the list twice. And he is the only quarterback on the list 3 times. All 3 times against the Kansas City Chiefs, and all 3 times within the last 4 seasons. 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. 149-19 ever. Josh Allen has lost 3 times while playing those such games, all against the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Bills are the first team in NFL history to win a playoff game in 5 straight seasons and not reach the Super Bowl in any of them.
So, I was trying to think of, and this is where I want you guys to help us out a little bit. So you could text in at 951-1620, or you can call in, leave a comment. Is there a situation that you could think of that is a comp to this? And so I started by thinking about people like all-time greats, right? Because we can now put Mahomes in the category of like Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Tom Brady and guys who just went on insane championship runs for extended portions of their career. But one of the offshoots of that topic is that the players that they prevented from winning titles. They prevented winning titles from, right? So guys who showed up on that list.
I firmly think that's where we're at with Josh Allen. We're at the Patrick Ewing thing, the Charles Barkley thing, the Karl Malone thing, not that Karl Malone thing, the other Karl Malone thing. People forget.
But I'm thinking about so there was, first of all, in the NBA ones, there haven't been quite as, I thought of Reggie. I thought of Reggie Miller with Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
They only had one playoff
series against each other.
I believe that's right.
Oh, okay.
And it was the 98 Eastern Conference Finals, and Reggie took them to 7, right? And played, but it's not like they were playing each other all the time in the playoffs, right? The playoffs are big enough to where, you could make your way. There's going to be different, and there was a lot of different teams in the Eastern Conference Finals during Bulls Jordan run. LeBron has changed conferences a couple times. He's run into a bunch. Now he's prevented a lot of people from winning championships, but it wasn't like we're gonna have to face off against X player every year, and then we're gonna find out who's better. Like James Harden, but James Harden in those matchups when he's been, when they've matched up in the conference finals or before the conference finals against LeBron's teams, like James Harden plays like crap in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's not applicable in this situation. Reggie only got one real crack. It took him to Game 7 in the 98 Eastern Conference Finals. Harden plays like crap, so he's not a comp.
Wow.
And so then I went to Brady. And the main foil for Brady was Manning.
Eli or Peyton?
Peyton.
Okay.
Well, I guess you could do the one where Eli is Brady and Brady is Eli, but that's a different thing. Brady and Peyton Manning beat Brady more times in the playoffs than he lost to him. Peyton Manning was 3-2 against Tom Brady in the playoffs.
See, it's weird because the Patriots went like a decade without winning.
Yes, that's right. They allowed lots
Uh-huh.
more room for other people to do stuff and win championships. Maybe like Phillip Rivers, but I wouldn't say that is Josh Allen Phillip Rivers?
He's better than Phillip Rivers, right?
I think he's better than Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers had a long, successful career with a lot of stats. But I wouldn't characterize what Josh Allen is doing right now to be like it's elevated. It's more than that. Marino,
Okay.
Marino played like crap in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
Yeah.
Marino, I had the stat. Marino threw 32 touchdowns and 24 picks in his playoff career. 24 interceptions. He went to one Super Bowl. And obviously never won it. But it's not like he ran into a guy every single time. It was mostly just Marino. So people are doing the Marino thing with him this week. I'm like, I don't think it's Marino. I don't think that's right. So I don't, and then you could do Jim Kelly, with the 4 straight Super Bowls with the Bills in the late 80s and early 90s. And in the last 2, it was Aikman, right? So there's maybe that. It's tough.
Is it the Lakers of the 60s before they burst through with the Showtime gang? I don't know.
It is a tough comp. And I don't know what the answer is. But so Dan writes in, he says LeBron has never prevented Harden from going to the finals.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is people who had these all-time great stretches or runs and ran into a guy, it's never been 1-to-1 like this. Because if Josh Allen wins one of these games, all of a sudden he is Mahomes. He is on the same, but nobody wants to put him in the Mahomes category because he can't win the games. And it's just him who's standing in the way. And I would argue in a lot of cases, he's been better than Mahomes in the actual games. And the NFL, you sort of keep it separate because quarterback, we do this with quarterbacks. It's a little bit different to do it with NBA and stars and stuff like that. So this is where I leave it open to you all. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
What about see, Iverson never lost to the same person over and over again.
Right.
I get wow, so great question you have posed here today for us.
Thank you, Josh. It's kind of what I'm looking for. And I'm going to leave it open-ended because I don't really know the answer to it. You know, there was a lot of Charles Barkley, you know, who had a couple different, like we had Bird with him and then we had Michael, right? But that was a couple different things. Barkley's not bad. Karl Malone, like you said, Josh, not that Karl Malone thing, the other Karl Malone thing, Magic with him. This is weird. This is weird. The territory that we're in right now is odd. I will say that with Josh Allen.
Unprecedented.
And like it or not, he has to win one or multiple to be viewed as a guy who could ever, you know, be viable in those situations. And of course he would crush. Like he would, you know, if you put Josh Allen in the Super Bowl next week, he would have done fine. It's like it's not a situation where you're wondering about how he's going to perform. You know he's going to be good. Although I was a little curious after the first drive. He seemed a little shaky, but he survived that, right? And then, you know, we add to it at the end of the game when they hold the still shot on his face, staring off into nothing, just no expression whatsoever, nothing at all.
I mean,
like, what am I supposed to do? How can I do this? How? And then you're thinking about, I assume if you're Josh Allen, you're thinking about, okay, we'll just have to do this again next year. But why would he think at this point that he's going to get any different result? Mm-hmm. Why would anybody think that that is what the Chiefs have done to the NFL? They have rendered other people, but particularly this one guy in this franchise, kind of hopeless. Because how would you?
It's a one-game season every year.
How would you convince yourself that next year, when these two meet in the divisional round or in the AFC Championship game, that they're going to do it? I mean, how would you convince yourself?
You're saying to yourself, "Well, we got to get lucky. The game has to break right for us. It's not. Well, if we scheme this way or we scheme this, we attack their weakness, we can win. It's we got to get lucky."
And look at all the quarterbacks. Like right now that we have a lot of great quarterbacks in the NFL. Like we're going to have a bunch of, when this era is done, and who knows, you know, eras sort of wave over each other, right? But like when we get through this era of these quarterbacks are around, you know, 27 to 32 right now, like this group of guys. You know, there's going to be a lot of guys who will have won no championships or would have never gotten past Patrick Mahomes one time. You know, Lamar Jackson is a different case because Lamar doesn't really play well in the playoffs.
Right.
Right.
Like, I don't even think Josh Allen at this point needs to beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. He just has to get to the Super Bowl now. Like, sure, that'll always be like, oh, he never beat Mahomes, but like, so he just has to get past.
But he will be discredited until he actually beats him, until he actually beats Mahomes.
Do we discredit Stafford's ring because he didn't beat Mahomes? I mean, I know he doesn't have to go through.
See, that's
Mahomes. It's a little different.
I sort of view that as a different era, and of course, they're, you know, on opposite sides. I don't really view them in the same bucket.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't really view them in the same bucket, but I mean it's a complicated one. Joel writes in,
Joel,
maybe Elway in the first decade, but again, he didn't lose to the same team.
Yeah,
they have rendered, like if there is a Chiefs, you know, thing that you wanted to, if you're a Chiefs fan and you really wanted to puff out your chest, the appropriate comeback to people, or the thing that you use in an argument, is you're hopeless. Good luck. We'll see you in the playoffs. And you know what's going to happen when we get to the playoffs. You aren't going to win. The only person that could say it is Burrow. The only person that could say it is Burrow. Because then when you get to the Super Bowl, it doesn't really, doesn't really. I mean, he lost to Brady and what? Well, who was the other Super Bowl that they lost? The Niners. They lose a lose a Niners Super Bowl and win. There wasn't really anybody there
because he didn't have an O line that day.
Yeah, they scored like a point, something like that. I don't know. It's there's a lot.
I mean, the Raiders had a period in the 70s where they kept running into Terry Bradshaw.
Brian writes in on the Equitable Bank inbox. He says, I think the stats show that Allen is better than Mahomes. The supporting cast and or coaching staff is the difference. Kelsey or another Kansas City tight end makes that catch on fourth down. But like nobody, I don't think that's how we think about it. Maybe that is our like real resolution from this conversation. It's that the Chiefs deserve more credit for being the Chiefs and doing what the things that they're doing with their infrastructure and their coaching staff. And how they just plug guys in, and it's just like, yeah, let's throw it to Samaje Perine with the game on the line. Great. Sounds like an awesome idea. And they've had, I mean, how many different running backs have they had in this era now? Like 9?
Yeah.
Guys that you're just like, yeah, sure. Damian Williams, let's go. Why not?
Let's bring back old guys.
Old Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever it is. And, Pacheco's and that, like they've had all these different guys, but it's Mahomes who's been around and it's Kelsey who's been around. But maybe the conversation should be more around, like, I'm not trying to discredit Mahomes, but
it would never.
Really, it's the Chiefs. And I think that's kind of Brian's point. Mm-hmm. Maybe that should be the thing with them. It's like, yeah, they probably don't get enough credit because they have Mahomes and he feels like the eraser of everything else. But really, their eraser is their team, their infrastructure and their coach.
Not their owner.
And how they
he gets Fs.
Well, most owners get Fs, I think. Jesse writes in.
Hi, Jesse.
Allen was running from the Chiefs all night long. Also, how bad do Bills fans despise the Chiefs? I don't even know. Like, obviously you do, but I would be so disheartened after playing in that thing 4 times.
God,
it's like I can't even dislike. I kind of have to appreciate it a little bit. Pedro writes in.
Hi, Pedro.
What if Josh Allen goes to the Chiefs and gets a ring there? Does it count?
Kevin Durant.
He can play wide receiver for the Chiefs. Maybe he could be their next running back.
Yeah. Look, I like to run it more anyway, Pat. You can do the quarterback.
You do have to wonder at what point Josh Allen just gets pissed off and is like, I have to go to the NFC or something.
Mm-hmm. I have to get away from.
He can LeBron it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have to go somewhere else.
You don't really see that in the NFL, but man, that's an easier path, right? Like, I know it's football. It's hard to get to the Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah.
But there will never be a Mahomes in the NFC. Yeah. There's one Mahomes. And to the point from before, I guess there's one Chiefs, and they are not in the NFC.
At least then I could lose in the Super Bowl, and people would be like, well, Josh Allen got to 4 Super Bowls. He'd be Jim Kelly.
Which is maybe a better position than what he's in right now. But like I said, he's playing. He's universally respected as like a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And yet he can't get to the Super Bowl. And it feels, and the more he gets there, the further away it feels at this point until he does it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know if we're moving towards something here. I don't know if are we building toward beating the Chiefs in one of these games? They've had ample opportunities to do so in each of those games, and the Chiefs just make more plays. They just do more.
I think we sort of broached this yesterday, so I think I know what your answer to this question is going to be. At any point Sunday, did you think the Bills would win that game?
Like I always thought it was possible, but no, I was just like, no, I think the
I-
Chiefs are going to win this.
I never thought the Bills were going to win that game, even when they were winning that game.
Yeah. Well, so now what the Chiefs do is more of like it's a mental thing. Obviously they're really good. And like I said, their infrastructure is great. Their coach is great. Their quarterback is great, but they have had pieces fall off. And now you walk into these games against them. It's like, how are we going to beat these? Like you need like a really young team that doesn't carry that baggage anymore. Like Burrow was a couple years ago.
Yeah. Just too young and stupid.
Yeah.
And too good to know any better.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you need, because it doesn't feel like the Bills are ever going to do it with Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Bills fans.
Unless they find a way to move the money around and it's like, we're all in. We got 2 great corners. We got Josh Allen, a bona fide number 1 wide receiver, which like the money doesn't allow them to do that.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it. Brian follows up. He has a question for you.
Hi, Brian.
Would the Chiefs be even better with Josh Allen instead of Mahomes?
Oh, no, right? If Mahomes was on the Bills and Josh Allen was on the Chiefs, who would win? I guess then
I don't know if they'd be. I can't say definitively that they'd be better, but I feel like the Chiefs would win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there is a world where Mahomes is Allen and Allen is Mahomes and Finkel is Einhorn and Einhorn is Finkel. All right. Ponder on that one for a little while. Sobering stuff if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm sorry.
Sorry.